Does your hand get tired and sore from holding little pieces when you're making jewelry? I suggest using a ring clamp to help save your hands. They're inexpensive and easy to use. Hi, I'm Jen Hanscom of Jewelry Classes with Jen, your online source for learning how to make quality, consistent jewelry right from home. In this video, I show you how using a wedge-style ring clamp to hold your sheet or wire offers a stable grip without your hand getting tired and sore. Once you get used to using it, it becomes second nature and you will reduce your chances of having issues with your hands over time. And stay tuned because after I demonstrate how to use it, I show you how you can modify it to gain a tighter grasp. So traditionally, when you're working on a piece, you hold it in your hands just by pinching it. You brace your hand against the table or whatever work surface you have, and then you work on filing. You can see that from the blood loss in my thumb, the amount of pressure it takes to hold that piece stable. And so if you're doing more than a few pieces, your hand will start to get fatigued. And even if you're young and your hands feel great, then you're going to find over time that you're going to wear them out. So what I recommend is a ring clamp. You can see there's a wedge piece that separates from this other piece. There's a joint in the middle. You see how it just tilts open either end. And so on this end, it's more of a blunt shape. And on this end, it's more of a rounded shape. So you can use whichever end you like. The insides are lined with leather so it doesn't mar your piece. But what this allows you to do is you can securely hold your piece by placing it in the jaw. You hold that end tight and then you just stick the wedge in the other end. Then you can now have something good to grasp your hand on that is much more comfortable for your grip. Hold it up against the edge of the table and now you've got something very secure, and so you can make a lot more headway faster because it's more stable, and it's not going to fatigue your hand so much because you've got something big to hold on to. And then what happens is that you just hold the piece up here so that you're holding above the joint. Take the wedge out and you can just reposition as you need to. You don't want to have it sticking way up like this, because then when you go to file or whatever you're doing to a piece, you don't want to have it too far away from where it's being held. So you do want to kind of make sure that you're positioning so it's pretty close to the actual grasp of the tool, and then you just stick the wedge back in. But you can see it gets to be really quite easy to rearrange. And so the more that you use it, the more natural that becomes. And I'm telling you, over time, this is just going to save your hands to be able to work with something like that. The ring clamp is not just good for holding sheet projects, but you can also hold your wire in here. This is a little bit fat wire. I think it's probably 14 gauge, but even skinnier wires. What you do is you position it so that the end of the wire is not protruding very far from where the grasp is holding, and then that allows you to do your filing or working with a cupper or whatever. The whole thing is, or the point behind this, is that the ring clamp will hold it nice and sturdy for you, keep it from spinning. Whereas sometimes when you're holding wire, it will spin in your hand while you're trying to work on it. You don't have as much control. It just depends. Again, it gets to that point where your hand gets fatigued if you're doing a lot of work, and if you keep pressing something like this, you're going to start having problems with your hands. And so it's great practice to get used to, where you just stick it into the ring clamp, wedge in, do your work. Then you can readjust, do the other end. Depending on the length, maybe you can stick it in there once for both ends. But that can be very helpful to keep from having your jewelry hobby give you any kind of issues with your hands. If when your wedge is inserted all the way, you don't feel like it's holding your pieces tight enough, you can actually trim the narrow end of the wedge down. What you would do is you would just cut a little bit off. You could use your jeweler's saw or something like that. This one happens to be the nylon one. A lot of these are made out of wood. Doesn't really matter what the material is, but you can shave some of that off, and then what will happen is that when you go to put the wedge in, you'll be able to push it in even further. See how the tip of that is actually hitting where the joint is. And so if you shave some of that down, then you'll be able to stick the wedge in further, and therefore you'll have a tighter grasp over here. If you found this video informative, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. But not only that, you'll want to sign up for my emails as well. I consistently send out gems of knowledge about the art of making jewelry. I love to share my tips and tricks about how to craft with quality. You know, the tidbits they skip over in the magazines that help you improve your craftsmanship. Sign up for our emails today. In your first email, you'll get my free guide, How to Create Consistent Components with Ease Using Measuring Charts. This guide explains how I use measuring charts to craft consistent jewelry components, much like a seamstress uses a pattern to make clothing. When you combine the use of measuring charts with solid forming fundamentals, you too will be crafting consistent quality components. Go to jewelryclasseswithjen.com/free-guide to sign up. You can find the link below in my description. I truly look forward to sharing the art of making jewelry with you, and you'll love being a part of our jewelry making community.